You're watching the NCAA Softball Championship Selection Special, presented by Capital One.
Oh, some of the best of the reactions from around the country. They are going dancing. 64 teams on the road to the Women's College World Series. And it's time now to send it over to Hollywood.
Pleased to be joined now by the chair of the selection committee for Division I softball, Kurt McGuffin. And, you know, this has been a very challenging season, I feel like, because of conference realignment, a lot of new faces, new places. But let's start with the #1 overall seed, Texas A&M. The Aggies making history. What gave them that #1 overall seed?
Yeah, two quality opponents in Texas A&M and Oklahoma, and I think what set apart Texas A&M was they have 19 top 25 wins, which is #1 in the country in wins in the top 25. They also had two quality non-conference wins versus Florida State and Texas Tech, and I think those were the two pieces that set them to the #1 seed.
We talked about the challenges of conference realignment. What kind of a challenge was it with the committee? Because we're seeing teams that are usually powerhouses in the Pac-12 now in the Big Ten, the SEC adding powerhouse Oklahoma and Texas. What kind of a challenge was that as you tried to do the bracket?
Yeah, with regard to seeding, it didn't change much because we still use the criteria that we have set, and we're very comfortable with how we seed and get teams into the tournament. It's really about the bracketing. The bracketing, when you have teams or conferences that have 8, 9, and 14 teams in the field, it becomes a bracketing issue, and you only have certain many spots to put people in. And we'll have to look at that in the future, whether we seed more teams like the committee wants to, but we'll look at that, and hopefully we'll discuss and have some change.
You talk about the seeding and just how tough it is. I'm looking at the bracket and I'm trying to pinpoint, okay, what will the controversial topics be, if there are any? And one of the spots that I looked at was UCLA going on the road for the first time since 2016. They are a 9 seed, not able to host if they win going through to a super regional. Tell me what set UCLA and South Carolina. What were the differences that we see there in that last host spot?
Yeah, when you look at South Carolina, they have 17 top 25 wins, and that was key in that area. They went and surely challenged themselves all year. Some of those 6 of those top 25 wins were out of conference, so we like to see teams that non-conference and the conference schedule are just very challenging.
All right, so there you hear from the chair. The SEC sets a record, most bids. Big Ten had the most bids. ACC had the most bids. Congratulations to the 5 debutantes. And there you see the last 4 in: Tech, Indiana, Northwestern Washington, and a tough night for BYU, Nevada, North Texas, and Purdue. They were the first 4 out. So remember, they talked about competitive balance. Geography, not as significant because so many teams from around the Southeast and the Southwest. So what are we looking forward to as we break down this bracket a little bit?
I'm looking forward to the Arkansas-Fayetteville regional because it's interesting to me because you have Robin Herron, you have Ruby Malin, outstanding pitchers. However, it's also 1,400 feet above sea level, which means the ball flies.
Yes,
it's the highest
there
level
we go.
SEC, so watch out for the offense. Bree Ellis has proved that all year long.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Baton Rouge. I think coming into the selection show, everybody was wondering, where is Jordy Ball going to end up if they aren't going to host a regional? Who's going to have to face her? And so for LSU, I'm sure they're mad that they didn't grab a top 8 seed, and they have to face Jordy Ball in a very strong Nebraska team. That team is so much more than Jordy Ball. Great hitting and pitching behind her, too.
Yeah, and when I think about the Austin Regional, you guys, I mean, I get excited because, of course, Michigan, you think about how hot they finished the season, and that's what you're looking for, right? Obviously, winning the Big Ten championship at the tournament, but looking the best that they've looked all year. Janessa Conway getting that all-tournament team, and UCF, Cindy Ball Malone's always got something cooking, and going into Austin, I think it's going to be exciting to see against the Longhorns.
This is a night, too, I think, where some teams are disappointed, or they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. The ones that are close, like a UCLA and an LSU, oh so close to being a top 8 seed, not quite getting it. A team maybe like Virginia Tech, who thought on Ole Miss and Mississippi State, thought they might have a chance at hosting, not going to get that. I think, though, once you take a look at the bigger picture and see your road, there is a path available for these teams to get to the Women's College World Series and to fight for a national championship. So it looks to be very competitive. And there you see the #1 seed, the Texas A&M Aggies, at home at Bryan College Station Regional. If they were to advance, possibly meeting up with the 16 Oregon in the Super Regionals. And that head coach of the #1 seeded Aggies is now with Holly.
Well, hey, Coach Ford, how are you?
Howdy, how are you?
I'm so great. Howdy is appropriate. I see the big animal head here on the wall. You're there in the heart of Texas, and this is history for the Aggies. This has never happened before in your program history to be the #1 overall seed. What was it like in that room for you with your team when you hear that news?
Yeah, we were definitely excited. I feel like this team has really put together a great season, and they earned it. They've played a top level of competition from the beginning of the year to the very, very end. So I'm excited that the 12th man and Davis Diamond gets to host the #1 seed in this year's regional.
You know, you've been able to take a team to the Women's College World Series when you were coaching at Arizona State. They bring you into Texas A&M to level up, and you have. What satisfaction do you have that you have brought this program to new heights this season?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with my staff and then the team, right? They've accepted us. They've allowed us to coach them hard. They've allowed us to really kind of set different standards and just continue what was built here prior and then obviously let it grow. And so I'm excited. I'm excited again for the 12th man and for everybody to experience Davis Diamond like we get to do every day.
You know, you've said all year long that one of the things that makes you such a strong team is your ability to win different ways, whether it's relying on the arm of Emily Kennedy or your pitching staff or getting it done on the base pass, all the speed that you have with Coco Woolley. You can also bash. Tell me how this team is going to be one of the most ferocious, scary teams to face in the tournament because you can win so many different ways.
Yeah, I just think that we're very balanced and we're very confident. This group knows what kind of preparation they've put together. We also, had a heartbreak last year, and so I think we have a chip on our shoulders. We talk about that a lot of just coming out and playing Aggie softball. So I think from top to bottom, our bench, all of our arms, we did a lot of things to kind of help grow this program in the portal, and obviously our freshman class have stepped up this year as well. So I think we're just more experienced and just excited to keep playing.
So exciting. Congratulations and happy Mother's Day to you. I know you're doing all this while juggling the act of motherhood. So thank you so much, Coach Ford. You've just done an amazing job there, and congratulations on the history that you have made today.
Thanks, and Giga.
All right, so the Aggies certainly battle tested. Top 25 wins. They had the most in the country, and that was big for the selection committee throughout the bracketing and the seeding of this tournament.
The NCAA Softball Championship Selection Special is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
The Shaq-a-Roni's back at Papa